Shalom, Yasharala. I want to get infinite honors to our Heavenly Father and our great King, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harakakadash. I want to give double honors to our teachers, the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to my fellow laborers in Yahweh Shah. All right, on this clip, man, I'm going to go into this guy, Elon Musk. And this is an interview he's having, and he's saying some things that are true, you know? I think this guy is a billionaire, and he's the one that created that car, Tesla, so on and so forth, and many other things. When it comes to technological advances, so he has money coming out of his ears, but they're about to start talking about certain bills the government is paying and what's passing and what effect it's going to have on the economy. And I'm going to funnel it through the scriptures, you know, all of these things that are going on in this final hour, all right, is all prophesied in this book of truth, man. So without further ado, I'm going to let it play and I'm going to chime in with scriptures.
About the infrastructure plan and the bill, and I wanted to ask you, say tomorrow you get a phone call from Joe Biden and he says...
I think that's unlikely, but sure.
Okay. He just gives you a call and he says, I haven't been talking a lot about Tesla lately, but what do you need from this bill? What are your needs? What do you answer him?
To be totally frank, I don't know if at least no one at Tesla has actually brought up whether they care about this bill or not. I think if this bill happened or didn't happen, I don't know. We don't think about it at all, really.
Okay.
It might be better.
You see, because this is something. When you have that much money, really, what goes on in government really has no effect on you. When you get up into the billions, you know what I'm saying? The government and the way it runs and the laws it passes and the bills that they write and legislation really doesn't have any effect on a person that's built $1 billion corporation. All right, now when they write things about taxing these corporations, so on and so forth, yeah, it'll hurt them, but it's not going to be enough to make their business descend into oblivion. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he's not worried about that shit. The rich, when these laws get passed, they are passing to benefit the rich. The rich is going to get rich and the poor is going to get poor. That's why he's not worried about this shit. But he's going to speak about what's going to happen to the people that it will affect. Check him out. But he's just letting you know right now, that shit don't affect me and what I'm doing, all right?
It might be better if the bill doesn't pass. Because we've spent so much money, it's like the federal budget deficit is insane. It's like $3 trillion. Federal expenditures are $7 trillion. Federal revenue is $4 trillion. That's a $3 trillion difference in, if this was a company, it would be a $3 trillion loss. So I don't know if we should be adding to that loss. That seems pretty crazy. Something's got to give. You can't just spend $3 trillion more than you earn every year and expect, don't expect something bad to happen. I think, this is not good.
Well,
all right. Now, with him saying that, let's get the basic model of economics, all right? Okay? Let's get the basic model of economics. This is how economies grow. Economy growth is measured by an increase in domestic product, all right? So for your economy to grow, you have to be making more money has to be coming in that's going out, okay? That's the basic principle of economics, all right? From your product, more increase has to be coming in. Your capital has to be coming in. More has to be coming in than going out. That's what makes economics thrive, okay? That's not happening here in America, okay? Which is defined as the combined value of all goods and service produced within a country in a year, all right? When you have government shutdowns and business shutting down, guess what? All of these goods and all of this money that was coming in isn't going out. So what does the government have to do? All right. When these people were making all of this money, everybody's jobs were up. All right. The government was able to tax these people, and everybody was good. As it pertains to economy, everybody has a job, everybody's working, and the government's taxing, so they're having increase. Okay, they have an increase come in, but when it shuts down, and now what does the government have to do when it shuts down? The government is taking, those people are not working, those jobs are lost. Okay, so now what's going in? That increase that was coming in, now you have the government writing all of these $1 trillion bills and stimulus packages, and that money is going to the people. And what's happening? What's coming into the government? What's coming into the economy? Absolutely fucking nothing. All right? So when you do this, that economy, what he just said, something bad is eventually going to happen. He know what's going to happen. The stock market is going to crash. The economy is going to crash. And it's all by design for those chips that he's making to get put on all of humanity. They're nosediving the economies, so the banking system crashes. All right, and then you could come up with a new plan. Let's get this new currency in the planet Earth. All right, and let's revive the economy with this cashless society. All right. A company that buys new manufacturing plants and invests in new technologies creates job spending, which leads to growth in the economy. All right. And even when they put this new technology in society, all right, that's going to take away from a lot of jobs, because a lot of these jobs, computers and machines are going to be able to do them. All right. So what's going to happen? Most of the people in the society that have certain jobs, the government is going to turn into like a communist-like society where they're just going to give everybody the same thing. Put some money on your chip, all right? And that chip is what you read about in Revelation, the 13th chapter, where they're going to have full control over you. It's not going to, that rich coming here, making yourself rich, that American illusion, all right, that's going to be over with, okay? This going to turn into a totalitarian society governed by draconian laws, and the government is going to be in control of everyone's finances, what you have and what you don't have. All right. And the vast majority of the nation is not going to be a middle class. It's not going to be, the rich are going to be the elites. All right. And you're going to have the poor. It's not going to be a middle class. All right. And all that comes from all of this government spending and all of these job losses. It's all by design. That's what this guy, Elon Musk, this guy's into the money. He understands money. He says something's bad going to happen. He know it's going to happen. He being a devil right now. He know the economy is going to crash, and he's going to get more money than ever because he's going to be the one producing the microchips, the new currency, the RFID technology. Okay, let's go back to some more things he said.
Something bad to happen. I think, this is not good.
Well, Mitch McConnell is actually saying...
In fact, if I may elaborate on that, the deficit is more than $3 trillion when you look at the future obligations. So it's $7 trillion of current expenditures, but it's much more than that if you look at future obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and so forth. So,
all right, so he's talking about domestic money problems, Social Security, Medicare, so on and so forth. But what about abroad? He say it's a $7 trillion deficit with just the business that's going on here in America. But what about on China, 20 trillion? You see? And that's going to start a world war because America's just going to they're going to debo China and tell China to get it in blood. That's what's going to end up happening there. And China's going to jump in bed with Russia. All right? America's not even going to try to pay that back to China. Okay? So he says 7 trillion in deficits for domestic problems, but then add that 20 trillion, that's 27 trillion. Man, America never climb out of that hole. All right. So these elite bankers are crashing these economies of the earth for that MOTB. It's all by design, man. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We can see clearly.
We're running this incredible deficit. Someone's got to give. I don't know. This can't keep going.
Well, Mitch McConnell said something similar. That it wasn't not as extreme as you. But okay, so let's say his follow-up.
You see, she say he's not extreme as you because that nigga Mitch McConnell's being politically correct. Elon Musk is just being straightforward. Look. He's saying it without saying it. This economy is going to crash. The stock market is going to crash. All right? life as you know it here in America is going to be different. The way you do business and commerce is going to be different. It is all prophesied in the scripture. That's what he's talking about, is prophecy being fulfilled. Okay?
Question is, okay, Elon, you don't think we need to spend anything on the infrastructure? If he says to you, what is the biggest improvement we can make to the U.S. infrastructure? What do you say?
I think we generally could have better airports, better highways, especially in cities that are congested. We've got to do something to deal with the extreme traffic, which I think is some combination of double-deckering freeways and building tunnels. But if we don't do something, we will be stuck in traffic for forever. As autonomous vehicles come to the fore, and it's easier to drive without going through the pain of having to drive yourself, which is absolutely coming and will be one of the biggest transformations ever in human civilization. There will be more cars on the road, and the traffic will get much worse.
I want to just stay a little bit more on the role of government. You said at this conference actually a year ago that you think government should really just be hands-off when it comes to innovation. Though with this bill, there is a lot of support for EVs, and it could be the biggest change that we've seen throughout the country in terms of the infrastructure of EVs, and it helps Tesla. What do you think the role of government should be?
I think the role of government should be that of like a referee, but not a player on the field. Generally, government should, I think, just try to get out of the way and not.
Now, when he say that, he hitting you with misdirection, all right? All right? Because he know that the government, when you get that high on the totem pole as him, he know the government don't run nothing. He know the corporate bankers run everything, and they tell the governments of the earth what to do and what not to do. He knows this, okay? So he's being a devil.
Impede progress. I think there's a general problem, not just in the U.S., but in most countries, where the rules and regulations keep increasing every year. Rules and regulations are immortal. They don't die. There's not a natural. Occasionally, you see some law with a sunset provision, but really, otherwise, the vast majority of rules and regulations live forever. And so if more rules and regulations are applied every year, and it just keeps growing and growing, eventually it takes longer and longer, and it's harder to do things. And there's not really an effective garbage collection system for removing rules and regulations.
See, and what he's talking about is a totalitarian society that's going to ultimately come to pass with all these rules and regulations. This devil's going to strip away the so-called liberties you have with the Constitution. Really, the Constitution is already done away with according to the National Defense Authorization Act. It takes all your so-called liberties away. So that's done. That legislation is passed. And when he's talking about all these rules and regulations that they just keep putting on the planet Earth, in this society, you're going to have a full-fledged totalitarian society, and they're going to govern it with draconian laws, man. All right? And it's going to be a cashless society, and this devil is going to be able to really play God, man. Once he gets everybody microchip, all right, and he's controlling your capital, your money, all right, he fully controls everything about you. Because guess what? With cash, people could go underground with cash. When you steal, the thing about why they can't be like a god with cash is, shit, a guy could get $3 million in a suitcase and $4 million with a suitcase or anywhere, go somewhere and get off the grid and can hide. But when you implement this new money system, all right, there's nothing you could do in that society. All right? And with that new money system is going to come a new system of government, and it's going to be totalitarian. All right? That book, 1984, about the guy that died, I forgot his fucking name. I have the book. All right? When that's coming to pass, man. It's coming to pass. George Orwell, that's that nigga name.
And so gradually this hardens the arteries of civilization, where you're able to do less and less over time. So I think government should be really trying hard to get rid of rules and regulations that perhaps had some merit at some point, but don't have merit currently. But there's very little effort in this direction. This is a big problem. But just going back to that infrastructure bill for a second, because sometimes the criticism of Tesla is like, hey, Tesla gets all these subsidies. But it's worth noting that for the vehicle purchase tax credit, the $7,500, Tesla stopped getting that like 2 years ago. Whereas everyone else, I think, except for GM, still gets the $7,500 tax credit. So all of our sales this year and I think last year were had nothing to do with the tax credit because we were no longer eligible because we made so many electric cars. Tesla's made roughly 2/3 of all the electric cars in the United States. I'm not sure if most people are aware of that.
The parts that I wanted to bring out were there. All right, so let me go to Sirach 14:3. I had this one pulled up. All right, this Sirach 14:3. Riches are not comely for a niggard, and what should an envious man do with money? See, the so-called white man has the riches of the earth, the fatness of the earth. All right, and look how he's dealt with the riches of the earth. All right. Look how he's dealt with it. Look at the state of the earth. All right. And he's in control of the money system, the current system. He's in control of the natural resources of the earth. And look at the state of the earth. And guess what he's doing? He's using this money system to implement this new currency. So when he's doing these things, he's nosediving the economies in the society, and he's a great waster. All right. And that's going to bring in this new currency. So he has to waste money. He has to waste money for that stock market to crash. All right? So when they say riches are not commonly for a nigger, the so-called white man is a true nigger. All right? It's so much worldly wealth that nobody should go hungry. And it's enough worldly wealth that every man can have his own house, his own vine. But not when the so-called white man is ruling, okay? And what should an envious man do with money? He has all of the money of the earth, but his desire is his hell. All right? We seen what he do with the monies that he have. He stole a whole people's nationality. He's oppressed all of the peoples of the earth. That's what an envious man does with money. He oppress a man in his own home, man. Okay, according to the book of Micah. Okay? And let's see what else this devil is doing. This is Revelation, the book of Revelation 6, and I'm going to start around the 5th verse, and it reads, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see, and beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he sat on him, had a pair of balances in his hand. All right. And when you read these different horses, all right, these horses are bringing forth oppression, death, calamity. All right. And what is this black horse doing? He's put these yokes he have. All right. When you look at that word balances, it goes in the word yokes. All right. And these yokes he have, he's putting a yoke upon the banking system. All right. He's putting a yoke upon the people's finances of the earth, their livelihood. All right. That's what he's doing. He's going to do that. And what is that? What is that going to do? That's how famine start. That's how pestilence start. All right. Once you take a person's finances away from them and they can't make no money and hyperinflation rules the day, guess what happened? It starts civil unrest. All these horses you read about are synchronizing with one another. The pale horse, the black horse, the red horse, all of them are bringing dread and death and calamity on the earth. All right. So the black horse is fucking with the money system. He's crippling the money system. All right. Because ultimately when the black horse is going to usher in that radio frequency identification chip, and what does Revelation 14:9 say about you that get that chip? You're going to feel the wine of the wrath of the Most High, okay? And it reads, and I heard in the midst of the four beasts a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. All right, and when you go to that word penny, it's talking about denarius, a full day's work, okay? So when you a penny, and see that thou hurt not the oil and wine, and when you go in that word denarius, And you understand that word denarius, a denarius was the equivalent of 10 asses, okay? So whereas when you understand how much an ass was worth in ancient Rome, you could actually get more. Barley was cheaper than wheat, all right? So whereas it would take you 3 to 4 asses to get, no, 2 to 3 asses to get Salaki. I don't know why I'm getting tongue tied. All right. Where it take 2 or 3 asses to get a measure of wheat for a penny, all right, it will hyperinflate to where you need where it take it Salakia for me getting tongue tied. For a measure of wheat where it would take 2 to 3 asses to get a measure of wheat, hyperinflation means it would take a penny. 10 asses represent 1 penny. So if it take a full day's work just to get a measure of wheat, all right, that's hyperinflation. No one can live like that because a penny would get you multiple measures of wheat, all right? But whereas it would only take 2 or 3 asses, and 10 asses is equivalent to a penny, that shows you everything was hyperinflating. This beast was bringing hyperinflation to the earth. And when hyperinflation comes to a place, the economy crashes because the inhabitants of the land cannot afford what's going on. They can't afford to live. And that brings in what? Civil unrest. That brings in what the red horse is going to do. Bring death. Bring sword. Have people killing with the swords and want of bread, all right? It's all by design. It's all in the scriptures, man. That nigga Elon Musk said, man, printing all this money, giving all these bills, he says something's bad is going to happen. And you fucking right. Something's bad is going to happen. This is Proverbs. And what's going to happen, the economy is going to crash. And it looked like it's going to crash in 2022. All right? Even if it don't crash before the year out. This is it looked like it's going to crash. Something's going to happen towards the end of this year and the beginning of the next year. All right? It's inevitable. This is Proverbs chapter 12, verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. See, when they're giving you these stimulus packages and saying they're taking care of you, they give you 5,000 here, 4,000 here, PP loans, all that shit, and they're talking about they're helping the economy, that's to crash the economy, all right? So you can end up having to get a computer chip in your body, all right? So when you think he's showing you a tender mercy, he's actually setting you up to be destroyed and killed, okay? Because when the economy crashes, the new money system is going to be implemented. And what are these people going to do that got these stimulus packages, all right? They're going to have no choice but to deal with the new currency. So that tender mercy that he was giving you was deceit. He was playing on your top. He was manipulating you for you to walk right into this new technologically advanced money system, which is the MOTB, or Revelation the 13th chapter, man. All right? And if you get that computer chip, that mark, you're a dead man and woman. All right? So with that, Lord willing, to sit down was edifying to the hearers. I want to give infinite honors to our Heavenly Father and our great King, Yahweh Wai, Yahweh Shai, double honors to our teachers, the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to our fellow laborers in Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yasharala, Abba Abba.